There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone. Hello everyone and welcome to the Fangirl Zone. I am Sean Fangirl S and today we are talking Good Omens. So that means my co-host is the one, the only, Gomez, not Adam.
Hello! Glad to be here.
So, as we have started all of our Good Omens, what are you drinking today?
I am drinking a margarita sour from Hardywood in Virginia, which is an Imperial Berliner Weisse Ale with salt and lime.
Oh, I have Bee Nectar, which they did American Gods, if you remember.
Yes.
Bee Nectar cider, The Dude's Rug, which is a hard cider with tea and chai spices. I have not tried this yet, so I will be drinking it first time on air, so this should be interesting. It smells really good.
That one sounds like it should be like a take on a White Russian, though.
Oh, really? It's pretty good, actually.
If it's The Dude's Rug.
Yeah, it's like...
Big Lebowski.
Okay, I didn't even think about that. Wah, wah. I'm slow. I love chai, so that's why I wanted to get it. Alright, so episode 3, entitled Hard Times, we'll give our really long synopsis of a sentence and a half here. We follow Aziraphale and Crawley's friendship across the ages. Meanwhile, in the present day, Agnes Nutter's descendant,
Anathema device,
arrives in Tadfield on her own mission to save the world.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Because you know I was going to mess it up. So, watching this...
I want a series of just this.
Yes! I will tell you, like, we started watching this, and I'm like, did I skip the intro? Oh, maybe I did, because it was, 15 minutes?
It was the longest cold open ever.
And I loved it, because we got all of this backstory on them. But I honestly thought I had skipped the intro. I'm like, oh crap, we're right in it. Okay. Way back in 4004 BC.
As you see Aziraphale putting in the last chunk for the wall surrounding the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, no, nobody's gone. Everybody's here. And God.
Where's the flaming sword I gave you? I must have misplaced it.
I put it down here somewhere.
It's here, right? Of course it is.
Right.
I wouldn't just give it to the mortals.
I loved how this whole opening was. It was great. With just those two. I can watch season 2. They can have it and just have them throughout the years.
Absolutely.
I'm totally cool with that. But what we had...
And I like how they made the different biblical references as well, because you've got Noah and the Ark.
Yeah, the unicorn's getting away. Oh, it's gone.
Crucifixion of Christ. You've got, and then they go to England, and they're in the Globe Theater. It's good stuff.
Again, another Doctor Who thing, because Tennant's Run, they were at the Globe Theater with Hamlet, and I'm like, yes! And I loved it, and we get the Nazis for one of the blitzes, and that was hilarious.
David Tennant hot-footing it through the church.
Right? But, oh crap, the one guy who was in it was in Doctor Who and Sherlock in that scene. Wasn't it, or am I wrong?
I don't know who.
Tall guy whose name escapes me. Oh my god, what is his name?
I think so.
Alright, fire up the Google machine, because you know that's what we gotta do.
We also have the French Revolution.
Oh, that was hilarious. Because he was peckish, he's gonna get beheaded. Now, why didn't he just save himself, is what I was wondering.
Well, because...
Mark Gatiss, who was also a writer, by the way, or showrunner for Tennant's Run, I believe.
That would be a misuse of a miracle.
And he did get his hand slapped. He did say that. But I loved how we have Aziraphale having to justify, Old Testament God when we go back with Noah.
Yes. It's like, well, they were naughty.
Yes. Oh, we're just wiping out the locals. It's like,
isn't that something that my side would do?
Right. And he was Crawley at this point.
Yes.
And I can't remember at what point he changes his name to Crowley, which
Not until the 20th century.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like, oh no, a little different. So let's see what we had. Noah, which I thought was hilarious when he's, especially the unicorn part. Come on. Oh, he's getting. Well, you still got
Oh, you still have one of them.
So the crucifixion. Well, what caused them to get all up in arms? So he wanted them to be kind to each other. Yep, well, that'll do it.
You see them hanging out in Rome, and
oh yes, and I
Aziraphale off saying, "Wait, you mean you've never tried an oyster?
Oh, let me.
What's wrong with you, Matt?"
Wait, and the way the hair kept changing. I'm like, okay, they're really playing up how everything changes, that they're just not static creatures because
they have to blend in.
Yes, but a lot of things, which you're a writer, a lot of things when you see immortal characters, like they get stuck in a certain kind of frame of mind. Like they can't change, fill in the blank.
Well, but here's the best part. Aziraphale runs about 100 years behind mortal fashion.
Yes, he does. But he always still looks in place.
So 100 years from now, he'll be the one going, it's on fleek, and calling everybody back. And everybody will be looking like, what the hell is wrong with you?
What is wrong with this guy? Yeah. Okay. Rome. Oh, and then when he was a knight of the round table.
Yes.
And going, Black
What are you doing here? Well, I'm fermenting. Is that a kind of porridge?
Oh, that was just so funny. And I don't know where the agreement comes in, if this is around the time, or no, it was going back to...
This is around the time that they say, well, we're going to cancel each other out anyway.
The first time we hear about it is around Hamlet, right? Because it's like, well, we've been doing this for, I don't know how long. All right.
But Crowley brings up the idea earlier.
Right. And as they're going, we have that moment where they're in, was it England or France? And they have the very tall hats. And
England.
Very dapper. And Crowley's like, I need assurances if this goes pear-shaped. And poor Aziraphale, he just really doesn't get it. I love pears. It's like, oh, really? And I didn't catch right away what was on the note. I didn't understand it when he was like, it's a suicide pill. No, I can't do this. It's like, okay. And then it's like, oh, after the scene that comes up, it's like, oh, okay, everything kind of clicked and fell into place.
Right.
Because we're in the 60s? Because he looked very bebop-ish.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So after the Nazis, yeah.
Yeah. And he was going to steal something, and you have Aziraphale popping in his car, and all of a sudden he hands him a thermos, and he's like, be very careful, don't take the lid off.
Right.
And Crowley... Yeah. He just looked so surprised. He's like, oh.
You did this for me?
Yeah, after they were not friends. I won't do this. It's like, fine, whatever, goodbye. They're little spats throughout the years. And this was the moment, watching it, I turned to my husband, I said, now I see where everybody's shipping them and why the bromance is there.
You go too fast for me, Crowley.
Exactly. And I was like...
Sometimes you go too fast. But did you also catch in the 60s that one of the people he was talking to about the heist was the witchfinder?
Yes, the lieutenant. I'm like, oh, is this where they got their start? Because it took a second. I'm like, wait a second. Did he say Shadwell? Yes, he did. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, everybody's shipping. And I think, like, if they weren't before, that was the moment that put them over the top.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he looked so sad when he said that. Oh, that broke my heart. And then, of course, we get the actual, like, credit scenes. I'm like, oh, okay, now we're actually going
to start the episode.
Right, which I was surprised. It was fun, and that was only 15 minutes. Like,
right. Absolutely. Like, again, they could have made this to the entire episode.
Right,
I think we'll be fine with that.
Like I said, they can do a whole second season, and that could be what it is, and I'm okay.
Absolutely. Anyway.
Yes.
And then we actually get to the episode.
Yes. So, would you like to jump us in?
Sure. So we meet up with Anathema, who is in Tadsfield trying to figure out where the Antichrist is.
Yep. She's working hard.
But she's also really upset because she doesn't have her book.
Right, as she's breaking pottery left and right. I'm like, well, that just seems like a Legend of Zelda thing. Are you finding any coin?
And she's not exactly the most modern dresser.
You know what? I don't even think it was the clothes, because you can be like, oh, she's like a hipster or something. She's from the Americas. She's a colonial. Which... Yeah, but
still, I don't know anybody that dresses like that in their day-to-day. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't know what they all dress like all the time on the East or West Coast. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm jeans and t-shirt. That's not how it is for me. But we have Adam actually show up, and he's like, oh, you seem really upset. And she's like, no. Yes.
blah, blah, blah. And it's like word vomit. Have you seen guys in an old car? Did they steal your book? You're getting this little kid who, unbeknownst to her, but knownst to us, has all these crazy powers.
And he's the Antichrist.
And I love it because she's like, oh yeah, I'm not a witch. I'm an occultist. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Completely different.
Obviously. And when she invites him in, the dog's sitting there. I'm like, does she not see the dog's eyes lighting up?
Nope, she doesn't.
And
Completely
I didn't understand the whole thing with the horseshoe. I mean, I know it brings luck, and
it was also warding against evil.
But because Adam got the dog to cross the threshold, it just, like, knocked it out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Ah.
Yeah, so I mean, the dog, I mean, she doesn't notice the glowing eyes. She doesn't notice the fact that the horseshoe's glowing.
She's a really bad, like, witch right now.
Yeah, but she also didn't have her glasses on. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Oh, maybe she's really nearsighted.
Could be.
Yeah, because, if I don't have them on, I can't see anything past about 3 inches from my nose, so...
Right, I understand.
I get that. But when she gets Adam inside and she's talking about auras, and she's like, oh, I can't see yours, though. Oh, it's not a science. And then starts explaining about all the other craziness that she's learned.
Yes.
Because they won't tell you in schools, because it's all conspiracies. I'm like, oh my God.
Tibetans in tunnels, and the dangers of nuclear power, and...
I was cracking
Leviathan coming from under the sea. Oh, yeah, all that. Good stuff. UFOs.
Here's some magazines if you want to read. It's like, why didn't you just give him a tinfoil hat while you're at it?
Oh, because that would be too simple. Because he has to have the ideas, though. Because he has to make them real.
It seemed so comical, but I love the way they played it.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, we're just going to slide this in. Like, all of a sudden, your 11-year-old is going to be listening to the crazy woman over here who he's never met before.
And he just, like, blindly goes into her house like, no, come on, guys, stranger danger.
Right. Apparently they didn't have that. And then we get to see when he's at home, his dad's like, yeah, hush up. I'm like, oh, okay, so like every dad ever.
Yes.
Got it. And then as he's saying all these crazy theories, and he's like, I'm just going to go to bed. What does Mom do? Do you think he's all right? It's that he's just spouting off kind of weird shit. I don't think he's, like, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but...
Well, you might want to have a talk with him.
Yeah. Maybe don't just feel like it's just kids being kids.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's quite his normal kid imagination happening.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
And then we see the Witchfinders again.
Which are hilarious, because we get the breakdown. And
yes.
Like you said previously, we get all of the names... that apparently he really did run out of ideas. I love that they say he's not very clever.
This is Private Coffee Can.
Yeah.
And Corporal Spoon. And other objects that I can see in front of me.
Yeah, and then later when we see him, and Sergeant Pepper. Like, really? And the Lonely Hearts Club Band? What are you going to throw that in? He was really bad at trying to figure out any kind of names. I mean, Smith, Jones, these are like super generic. Come on. I don't think anybody's checking up on you, obviously.
Clearly not.
And then he is clearly not on his A game as he talks to Crawley.
Correct.
Oh, you're looking well. You look just like your father. What? How? Are you drunk?
Maybe a little.
Yeah.
And, I mean, as Carly's sitting there reading the Infernal Times.
Right. You are the worst witchfinder ever.
I mean, he's not exactly being inconspicuous about it.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah, clean living. Yeah, does it? Oh, do I look like my father? I've heard that before. What? Again, what? Okay. That took everything in me not to be like, I want to reach through my TV and slap him right now. Because, Shadwell, you suck.
He really does. He's really bad at this job.
And still calling his neighbor, and I'm assuming landlady,
Jezebel.
Harlots and Jezebel. Love it. I will get us delivered. I would rather sup with the devil. Well, weren't you earlier? Kind of, sort of?
Just a little bit. Yeah. Well, no, they weren't actually sharing a meal together, that's so true. It doesn't count, I guess.
Can you give me the plates from last week, then? It's like, sucker. She called you out.
Yep.
But...
Fine.
Importantly, this is when we get to see that not just Crawley has him on his
payroll, but Aziraphale does as well. And
Aziraphale just seems genuinely, like, caring because he seems so naive, especially when, was it Sergeant Milkjug or whatever had died? And I sent flowers. Ugh, he's taking you. He's like, yes, and the family really appreciated the extra 20 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. And they're being sent.
Aziraphale believes the best of everybody.
You think by now he'd be like...
No. So then we also get Anathema trying to see Adam's aura.
Which she couldn't.
And completely failing to.
Yeah, but not understanding.
Because it's the size of England.
Which was crazy when they pull back and they say, this is why she couldn't see it. It's like, oh. And I think she started to get a little suspicious because she's out in town and seeing everybody's auras without a problem.
Right. Yep. It's like, not E.
Oh, okay. This kid doesn't have an aura. This is weird. And of
What's
course,
going on?
We have the local neighborhood watch guy.
Yes.
I love it. It's obviously, like, her parents did not teach her, okay, listen, you're going to be doing this, but you gotta be cool, all right?
Yeah, no, she's not. She's the opposite of cool with this.
No. Did you notice the beast come here? If you want to start smoking those, and I can't remember what he said, I wanted to go back and write it down because all he did was laugh through the whole thing.
Basically, you're high.
Yeah.
You're so high.
Go back where you came from. Yeah, I can't remember, but I'm like, what? This was just random and funny, and how did that old man keep a straight face saying all of it? Acting!
Yeah, I believe it's called acting.
How many times did he have to do it? Especially, randomly throwing out some of those phrases he was using. Those fat jingle... I don't know. I don't even know what it was.
It really doesn't matter.
Jiggy pops or some shit. I don't know.
He didn't know either.
That's why I think he just made it up on the fly. Like, even if he forgot what he was supposed to say, they were probably like, hey, that sounds good. Let's use it.
And we're rolling with it.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my God. I lost where we were. Oh, we have the descendant of the actual thou shalt not commit adultery. Yes. Who is finding real evidence that apparently Shadwell, never bothered to look at.
Absolutely.
But he's like, whatever. We don't need to go there until he's like, I'll pay for my own petrol. It's like, oh.
Oh, in that case.
Yes. Does it happen to be in Tadfield? And how is the weather perfectly normal all the time? And when he said that, it took me a second to realize what he was talking about. Oh, it always snows on Christmas Eve. It's the long, hot August. It's the perfect spring.
It's always perfect apple picking weather.
Right. It's like, wait a second. Yeah, that's not normal. Especially with all the insanity with the weather and changes. You would think something would be weird.
It's always the ideal weather for that time of year. I mean, it always snows on Christmas Eve. It's always a long, hot August. It's always perfect apple picking weather. It's always, if there's a thunderstorm, it happens at night. All that stuff, right?
Right. Like the leaves are changing perfectly. The first day of fall. It's like, this is weird for the last 11 years. So he obviously is more astute than Shadwell.
Yes. Or Crowley and, Aziraphale, for that matter, because they actually put together the pieces here.
Yes, much quicker than everybody else.
Absolutely.
I was just like, okay, we're finally going to get everybody to Tadfield, right? Well, maybe not, because there might be some more intervention, because Aziraphale was so sure that he can go talk to the head office.
Yeah, that didn't work out well, did it?
No. And you see, right away, I hate Michael Hamm's character. Or wait. Yeah, that's John Hamm.
John Hamm. Yep.
Michael Sheen.
You're supposed
John
to.
Hamm. He's such a douche. And the ones that were with him, because Aziraphale is trying to tell them, without telling them, what the situation is. And they're, whatever. No, we have information.
We're having the war.
It's like, that's all they're looking at. And I know Aziraphale wants to skirt around it, but he thinks that the plan is
flawed.
He also thinks it's slightly, what was he saying earlier? Ineffable?
Ineffable. But if the plan is ineffable, but do they really know what the plan is? They think they know what the plan is, but do they actually know what the plan is? That's the conundrum here, right? Because just because you think you know what the plan, heaven thinks they know what the plan is. War. End of the world. Great. So we'll finally win. But the question remains, how do they know that that's the plan? Did the voice of God actually tell them, hey, by the way, guys, we're going to have a war now? Or are they just making an assumption that that's what's going to happen?
Because that was what was supposed to happen.
So they think.
Right.
Because at no point does God ever come down and say, hey, we're supposed to have a war right now.
He never did. Or she never did.
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm just not digging the one dude, and I didn't catch the angel's name, when he's like, I don't trust him. It's like, what? We're going to fight. He's doing nothing but good stuff, and you're being a douche. And do you suddenly have gold teeth? I'm like,
yes.
What is happening?
But, I mean, that's the other thing, is that Aziraphale thinks the good thing is the preservation of the world, whereas the other angels think the good thing is the destruction of the world.
Yeah.
So that's why the angels don't trust him, because they think he's not with the plan.
It makes me sad. It does make me sad. So let's rewind a little bit, because I almost missed the second horseman.
Famine!
Yes. As he was sitting in the restaurant in the beginning, when he's like, I've never seen so many rich people so hungry and eating so little. Watching that, it just made me angry, because I know there's restaurants that, like, do that weird shit. It's like, here's lavender air. It's your first course.
Right.
Excuse me? How much is this non-food costing me?
About $20,000 a plate.
Right? And then, of course, there was non-food happening later called chow.
Yeah, they go to the diner, and it's all everything that it looks like food.
But there's no nutritional content at all.
But it has zero nutritional content, so you actually starve yourself.
Which, funny enough, my husband says, oh, so, like, all fast food. Okay, no nutritional content. Like,
Well, I mean, you had, actually, there was something recently in the news where a teenager went completely blind permanently because all he ate was white bread, Pringles, and French fries. And they kept on taking him to the doctor because he felt weak and everything else. Well, his weight's fine. He's not anorexic, but he wasn't getting enough of the necessary minerals and vitamins and everything else to keep the body functioning.
Yeah.
So he ended up suffering from some rare eye degeneration disease that attacks the optic nerve that right now is permanently blind. So, moral of the day, eat your fruits and vegetables and don't live off of French fries and Pringles.
Yeah. Oh my God. First, how did the parents not go, you know what? You need to at least slap some peanut butter on there. I don't know.
Anyway, and part of it was the kid. I read a little bit of it. The individual in question had a hard time dealing with a lot of the textures of foods.
Oh, okay.
And that was part of it. But yeah,
But those three things don't have the same texture either.
They don't. But again, it's just like, ugh.
That's crazy though. But yeah, I understand. My friend's kid, same thing, texture thing. Like, yeah, ease them into foods, certain food.
But that, I mean, do you want to go blind? Do you want to go blind? No?
Have
Great.
Some yogurt. Have a vitamin. All right, kids. Moral of the story, maybe drink some V8. I don't know. If you're not going to eat something.
Gotta do something. Anyway.
As I sit here and have another drink of the dude's rug.
There you go. Anyway. So no, I mean, I really enjoyed this episode. I think the high point was that opening.
I love that.
For me. I mean, it does not get much better than that, with the possible exception of Crowley and Aziraphale arguing in the park.
Oh my gosh, I was just going to say that. I'm like, that was high point, the opening and everything that happened. But like, before the crash, yes, when they're in a gazebo and it's so beautiful and like everything that's happening. We're not friends, you're a demon, I'm an angel. It's like, yeah, okay, we've been through too much shit. We can just go somewhere together. It's like, what?
Us? Together?
In the universe somewhere? And I was, of course, like, oh. And my husband was like, did he just... Wait, that kind of sounds like... I'm like, let's go back to the car. Go right?
I mean, he wasn't down on bended knee.
But, I mean, they've been in each other's lives for, 6,000 years?
Yep.
Yeah. And maybe that's what the plan is. Maybe that's what's ineffable.
Well, but also the fact that you figure that you have this angel and this demon who've been on Earth for that period of time. They have more in common with each other than they do with their respective offices.
Yes, and it's quite obvious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently to everybody except Aziraphale. At least
Crowley.
Now. Really? Because I think Crowley still believes. Now, I don't know. We'll find out next episode, of course. But I believe Crowley still thinks, you know what? I think we can get through this and we can still do this together.
Possibly.
I know. You probably want to say something and you're being good.
Not going to. Not going to. I'll be good.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so yeah, then we got Adam reading all the magazines that Anathema handed. Yes. Nuclear power? No thanks.
Right. Yeah, it's just horrible. And I love it because he thought it was bad because he didn't get to see bubbling and oozing when he was at the power plant or anybody in like spacesuits.
Right.
So what does he do as he drifts off to sleep thinking about it and with his candy?
He dreams of no more nuclear power.
But there's still power happening.
Yes.
And what's down in there as they look? They're like, well, that's odd.
A lemon drop.
Yes. Because, like, sherbet lemon, I, of course, just thought Harry Potter. But I'm like, those look like lemon drops. I'm like, oh, that's what they call them. Okay. But watching this, I'm like, all right, well, he didn't do something bad, per se.
He didn't blow them up.
Right. It just disappeared, but there's still power.
Right. There's no input, but there's still plenty of output.
It's like, huh.
How did that happen?
Right. So I'm kind of feeling like, are the powers that be on both sides going to go, wait, that's not evil, and that's not a miracle? Good. What? Where is this kid falling? I don't know. And all I could think of in that moment were Fammon's scales that he had, where I'm like, like the scales of justice. Where's he falling? And Good Omens flashback. It's like, oh, where's your soul gonna fall on there?
And right now he's just firmly in the middle. He's an 11-year-old kid, right?
Which I think it should be interesting how they proceed. Because some of the pictures that I've seen, because again, I am holding off, and this is really hard. It looks like there's big craziness happening all around him, but he's just sitting there like, meh, I'm a kid, what?
Exactly. I didn't want there to be any more nuclear power. Come on. What's wrong with that?
Well, there won't be another Chernobyl that way.
Exactly. But, I mean, it does lead to that question of like, okay, so if this is where he starts, this is where Adam starts, where's he going to end, right?
Right, because what he's doing...
so what else? What other things is he going to get up to?
And it depends on who's whispering in his ear.
And how he decides to interpret certain things, right? Or if he thinks that if things are being taken away from him, how will he react? If somebody catches on to this is what he's doing and tries to stop him, what will he do? I mean, if he can make all the nuclear fuel just vanish by dreaming about it, what else can he do?
Can he possibly get rid of world hunger? What would famine do suddenly?
What could he do if he's awake?
And he realizes, oh gosh, these questions. And there's only 3 more episodes for us to explore these. Oh my gosh.
So, anyway.
Yes. So this was amazing. I loved it, which I think you guys are hearing every episode from me. But
I think this might have actually been my favorite episode, especially with that open.
Yes, that was a great opening, and I want more, but...
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
anyway.
Yes, we like it. We hope you guys like it. Why don't you let us know what you think at contact us at fangirlzone.com. You can check out the website, www.fangirlzone.com. See all the fun stuff over there. And, of course, our contact page, which you can find how to contact us other ways, Twitter and Facebook and blah, 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 blah. Because there's everything. And, finally, which you may or may not know, but in case you started in the middle, Gomez, why don't you tell them where they can find you?
Sure. Broadswordsandblasters.com is the best place to find me. Swords and Blast on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook. You can find my personal Twitter page at mxgomez78. Yeah, that's pretty much it, what we got going. We've got a new issue coming out on October 15th. It'll be issue number 11, which means that we have 10 other issues that you can go and explore and check out, which are wonderful. And then we're doing an open call for submissions starting October 1st and running to October 31st.
Ooh, through Halloween.
Which would be craziness for us, but better than trying to do it in November.
What?
Because we did that before and it was terrible. Oh my god.
And a little side note, Gomez and I were talking off air. I just seen something posted about David Tennant's panel from Dragon Con and how he mentioned something happened on the set and maybe he should have just married Michael Sheen. So I'm going to see if I can find that and put that up on the Facebook page, at least.
We all want to know.
Yes, but otherwise, search out David Tennant Dragon Con panel. I'm sure you can find it if I don't have it up, because I want to know what he's talking about, and I really wish I was down in Atlanta this year.
There you go.
All right, for this episode of Good Omens, I am Sean Fangirl S.
And I am Gomez, not Adams.
And until next time.
Ciao!